Hello everyone, this is Unsafe Kibble, and this is my Link to the Past first playthrough. This video is going to come with a little bit of commentary because of music issues. So this first is the tutorial boss. It's a knight that swings, I forget what they're called, a mace. So really easy kill. Unfortunately, right after the tutorial boss, I picked up a heart, which I should not have picked up. Hence why this isn't a full minimum level run. In Link to the Past, you have to pick up the hearts in order to reveal the pendants, so it's not possible to do it without lowering your health. So I set off to do all of them flawlessly. This fight was particularly annoying to do flawless, but although it's probably a known speed tactic, I found that what you could do is you could deny one of the knights their position in the circle, and if you did so, they would all just hop there until he was dead. So the basic idea here is deny the knight's ability to make their circle and punish. Once you clear all of them, you get a little hoppy one, and all their hops made it particularly hard to make flawless, but we ended up getting it. With that annoying boss down, you move on to this. Not sure its actual name. Basically, three centipedes pop out of the ground. When they pop out of the ground, they shoot stones in a diagonal cross pattern. It took me a while to figure out that's what was actually causing me damage. Once you get two of them down, you end up getting a star pattern, so you get the diagonal cross and a normal cross. So it becomes a little harder, but it's pretty much wait for them to emerge and spam whack your sword, and you can get this done flawlessly pretty easily. And the boss that inspired one of the early Link's Awakening boss, the next game in the series. This thing was particularly hard to manipulate. I was trying to figure out what I was supposed to do to try to hit that in because it seemed to turn without reason. So basically the strategy I developed later in this turn is that you try to get it to lay out in that flat open space and then circle around and smack it, and that seemed to work for me. Overall, these three bosses were pretty annoying, not very difficult though. I can't even really believe that this shit's a boss fight. Basically what you do is you stand over the side and you hit the projectile with a sword. Sometimes he will throw out an orb that explodes into 4 different or 6 different little blue orbs and is slightly different, and that can't be smacked back into him to damage him. But you can essentially hit it with the sword and it'll blow up and protect you as well. So the only real issue here is the lightning bolt that comes up sometimes, and you just run to the side. It is ridiculously easy. Okay, now this boss was an annoying little shit. Basically, you place the bombs so that you blow up the mask because otherwise you can't actually damage the boss. The boss appeared to have no discernible walking pattern that I could tell. He swings his tail around, which will one-hit KO me with only 2 hearts left. You have to run up and hit it in the face. It spits out fire, which breaks into 3. The attack's going on right now. You have to avoid the projectiles. I accidentally laid a bomb there because of the wrong button. But basically it seemed like there was no real way to predict what was going to happen either with his tail or with the movement. So you really just kind of had to get lucky. But eventually I did get the kill. Another classic Zelda boss puzzle. You basically need the work hook. You pull these little spears off and smack them around. It is pretty easy to do. Once you get to phase 2, he is going to do the same vertical hop and chase pattern that happened with the knights, the second boss we fought. Only difference is after he lands, he's going to zip around the room and you kind of have to slap him into a wall. And this is how Flawless dies. This bat was the most annoying fight. So the floor moves in a pattern. It goes right, up, right. I don't know if the movement is random. I was trying to memorize patterns while you're firing this fire rod at him. Simultaneously, the floor is shooting these. It was a mess. Use the fire rod until you're done and then hit it with a hammer. And just be glad that you don't have minimum heart runs in Link to the Past. So after the absolute tragedy of the butterfly boss, I got this cape. So you can basically just turn yourself invisible and spam your sword. I tried doing this without going invisible. This appeared to be the most efficient way to get him down quickly and not take damage. Not much to say otherwise. Okay, so you step into this boss fight and then you immediately use Bombos, which unfreezes that ice. And now you're actually into the boss fight proper. So the next thing you do is cast the cane to get that protective aura, and then you want to try to trap these guys in the corner and just wail on them. I managed to get 2 of them trapped in the corner at the same time, which allowed me to keep that protection on for the rest of the fight, so it was a really swift kill. Okay, if your boss fights haven't been disappointing enough, here you go. This is the technique I used to do Zelda 1 Ganon fight. You basically stand in the corner, all of the enemies are going to fly to you. This will prevent the lightning from hitting you, and if you get in the right position, it will prevent the eyes from hitting you as well. Once everything's down, we're going to switch to the arrows. I have a little trouble menuing here, but once we get the arrows in hand, we're going to fire them at the eye. This knocks it back, and it tries to come in a straight line, and that is literally the entire fight. This was a rage-inducing monster. So you've got a fire head and you've got an ice head. You hit the head with ice and then wail on it. You then hit the head with fire and wail on it. Then you're going to switch back to the ice rod and wail on it. The reason that you do this is the ice stays for much longer than the fire, and the ice will prevent your movement. Once you get the 2 heads away and you've got the main body boss, you basically just wail on the center. I'm going to use my protective aura again to disappear and just wail. This boss was rage-inducing because of the fact that you must have the ice and fire rod. The fire rod, of which is optional. It's not in the dungeon, and they don't tell you have to have it. So thanks for that. This Ganon fight is by far the most annoying fight in the series so far. So phase 1's pretty simple. Drop down, smack Ganon. You can do it before the talk starts. And then you just try to wail on him while he throws this javelin around. Eventually he'll start spawning fire around him. You can avoid these, and then they turn into bats and fly at you. this and the next phase got me so many times, I just decided we were done doing this flawless anyway, because he comes into phase, what I'm going to call 3 at this point. In phase 3, he is going to jump in the air and smack down, knocking away one of the walls. What you want to do is you want to try to hit him before he makes any movement, so that you can get him and get away. But if you get too close before he spawns, he appears to despawn and go away again. So that all pales in comparison to this final phase, where he's going to knock these fire pots out, and you're going to have to relight them with the lantern or the fire rod. I found the fire rod most efficient. Once the fires are lit, you can actually damage the boss again. You can hit him with your sword and turn him into a paralyzed state. Then you want to pull out the arrows and hit him with the silver arrow. But when he's done, he's going to immediately try to knock the fires out again, so you have to keep switching back. Managing the amount of magic you have becomes an issue. So really just, yeah, no desire to do this flawless. Mechanics aren't that interesting. And with that, that's the end of Links to the Past. Enjoy the last minute or so of the video, and off to Link's Awakening 3-heart run now.